Welcome everyone to the second podcast of Erskine Arts. Welcome to the pool table. We're going to go round and say who we have today with us.
I am Ailey.
I'm Jason.
I am Andrew.
I'm Lewis. Alright, I'm Devon.
I'm Catherine. I'm Erica.
I'm Simon.
Welcome everyone. Thanks for being on this podcast. So obviously we have a special guest today in Simon. So Simon, if you want to just tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get chatting.
Yep. I'm Simon. I've spent the last maybe 8 years of my life playing in the band Frightened Rabbit, playing guitar for them. Started touring with them in about maybe 2012. Firstly as the guitar tech, and then went on to start playing in the band, writing and recording with them. Now I'm working more in theatre, like doing composition and music for theatre, a wee bit of film work as well. And that's me.
Excellent.
Thanks for having me.
Not at all. Thank you for being here. So our crew members here have got some questions they've been thinking about to ask. So I think without any more introduction, we'll get fired in. And Andrew, if you want to start us off, and we'll have a chat.
When was the first time you performed a song you'd written? How did you feel, and what was the song called?
I wouldn't remember the name of the song, but I started probably writing songs actually with my sister when I was maybe about 15, and we started a band and just playing kind of small local gigs. But it was a weird experience, when you start sharing like songs that you've written rather than just playing cover versions of other songs. It's almost like more vulnerability there to be playing your own songs in front of people. I guess similarly, like, in Frightened Rabbit, after I started recording with them, it's a different experience than playing songs live that you had been involved in writing. I've been, like, prior to that, just playing songs that the band had already written before I joined. It's quite a nice feeling to be sharing like songs that you've been more involved in.
Do you remember, just kind of talking about that, do you remember the first kind of performance you'd done where it was all original stuff? And was there like, did you feel a bit wary or scared of what people might think of your songs, how people would receive them?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's terrifying. But yeah, like I said, it would have been early shows with my sister, who I kind of can still sort of make music with as well. We formed a band called Olympic Swimmers. It's probably when I was about, yeah, we're not even big swimmers. Can't even swim. I tend to float more than anything.
Never mind at an Olympic level.
No. But yeah, I think it was probably quite lucky having her, that we'd be able to write music together when we were young.
Did you find that like writing with your sister limited what you would write about? Like, was it more restricting because you had to be more vulnerable? Or was it the opposite because you were so close to her?
Well, the relationship was probably similar to other like songwriting relationships I've had, where I would write music or come up with an idea musically. I've never been a lyricist, and I guess that's probably an even more extreme feeling when you're sharing or singing words that you've written. Must be, it's not something I've ever done, so I can't really relate to it.
So is your... No, I go, Devin.
So see when you say you're not much of a lyricist, does that mean, like, would you sit down with like the singer and stuff and tell them like you've made like a riff or something? Could you like help with the song?
Yeah,
stuff?
exactly.
Is that how most of the songs like are made and stuff?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's even like, it depends how it's coming about. If it's like, in my experience, usually been like, would be one person has just the bare bones of an idea, and then everyone sits together in a room and either plays them together live, or if you're just basically demoing and recording straight onto, not playing it together, but just recording parts on top of each other. That can be fun, basically just throw things at a song, see what works.
Yeah, I was just asking that because I was trying to make up like, songs and stuff, and then I'm sitting there with like having to make up lyrics, and I'm sitting there like, what have I got to write and stuff? So would you advise, like, would you give any tips towards that type of stuff?
For lyric writing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the man to ask for that, unfortunately. I've managed to avoid it my whole life. But yeah, you can
Do
ask my
have any
sister.
sort of- you're one for writing lyrics. Do you have any sort of advice? What really could you? Are you just wanting general advice of writing lyrics? Well, just write about what you know.
Yeah.
I think it's always maybe a good idea to take like inspiration from like literature or poems, you know, like your favourite writers. It can, as opposed to like suggesting that you write songs about day-to-day life. I mean, that could, you know,
That's how every blues song starts. Like,
maybe, yeah,
woke
yeah.
up in the morning, the lady was gone.
That's it.
I think one
Never had a lady.
of my tips for writing lyrics was like, don't write it down on paper because you tend to be really precious about what you're writing. You want to get it right before you have it in writing, basically.
Alright.
So what you do is just, if you've got a melody, just sing and have a wee microphone with you, just record it on your phone. And if you just keep riffing off different words and stuff, something will stick. You can listen back to it and think that one line was good, and you can write a song based off of that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, if it's just like, you know, scratch lyrics, you know, just a placeholder, and then you work in the melody, and you know, yeah, you can basically re-edit the lyrics later when you've kind
I
of
don't
found.
think anyone's ever written a song start to finish and went, yeah, that's perfect,
No,
without
it's,
going back and
it's just
changing
a process,
most of it.
isn't it? So, would you say do you have a preference when it comes to writing? Do you feel more comfortable writing, you know, with a band like Frightened Rabbit, or are you more comfortable? You said you'd be doing some theatre stuff. Are you more comfortable writing, you know, by yourself and having total creative
Well,
control?
that's different, but it's still the theatre stuff's still a collaboration because you know, even though musically it's a solo venture, you're still working with like a director
Yep.
or a writer quite closely, and they basically then take the role of your bandmates if it was in that situation. So they would have feedback, and they're obviously going to have thoughts on how the music's going to sit in a production, you know, theatre production. But it's quite interesting.
How have you found? Have you ever came to the band or with your sister with an idea? Obviously, ideas always change, and when they're developed into songs, have you ever found it difficult? Or have you ever been too precious over an idea that when it gets changed, there's been a bit of resistance on your part?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with other bands more so, but with Frightened Rabbit, it was almost more like I couldn't be precious about things because it was, you know, I wasn't the main person in it, you know.
Yeah.
So it was almost a sense of like I could be more relaxed about it, you know. Like if there was a part that didn't work and it got axed, you just have to forget about it, you know, because there's a main man kind of calling the shots.
Yep.
But you know, every band needs that.
No, definitely. It's good to not be too precious over ideas and be able
Totally.
to listen to other people.
Did you ever hit like a writer's block? And if so, how did you like overcome it?
Good question.
Yeah,
Are the tough ones?
probably did. Yeah, I mean, there was a time. I think it's almost like you're more if there's pressure to create something. That's when there's a higher chance of like hitting a brick wall and not being able to create. Because we kind of found ourselves in that position with like the last album, which maybe we were going to record, but we were kind of still in need of like 2 songs, you know, just to bring it up to like where we wanted it to be. So then when you know that you need 2 songs, and that was at a time we were sort of living separately from, you know, the whole band was in Glasgow, but Scott was in LA. So that was an odd process of emailing demos back and forward to each other.
Oh, that's a good process.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
No.
But I mean, similarly, I worked in a play recently, and it was the same deal. I wasn't in the rehearsal room. I was emailing music to them. It's not the same, you know. It's not as productive.
Was there ever a time like you finished making a song that's been published, right, and you go back to listen to like say like the lyrics and stuff, and you've just been unhappy with it?
Ooh.
I know what you mean, but not really, because I think once it's finished, you just got to
Yeah, mate,
detach
it
yourself.
exists.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
there.
yeah.
And it's, you know.
Totally.
Right, Lewis, why don't we move on to your question?
Was it hard getting gigs when you were younger?
It was, in a way, yeah. I mean, I think that Glasgow's really well set up for or it certainly was then, and presumably still is. It's a lot of the same venues, like 13th Note, like King Tut's, I guess, Nice and Sleazy's, places like that. But they all cater towards like young bands coming up. I think that's why like the Glasgow music scene's so good. And that was even for, I mean, similar to you guys. Like I grew up in Lanark, so you're a wee bit detached from it. It was like a case of moving to Glasgow, finding the music scene, worming your way in, I guess.
Is that how you kind of got started gigging in Glasgow then, moving there?
Yeah, moved there for uni when I was 17. But I already had a band,
Yeah.
and it was a case of like transferring that into a different realm. Like I met, like almost immediately met a really nice circle of musicians, your Craig being one of them. Yeah. But that was like,
Off camera.
it was such an amazing like group of people. A lot of like folk went on to other bands, like Twilight Sad, Churches, a lot of guys from that sort of scene. But I think that's so important, like-minded people that you can feel relaxed making music around, or you can encourage each other. But yeah, that was a game changer, I think.
So you've kind of touched on it there, but kind of off of Lewis's question, have you got any advice? I mean, presumably you folk are going to use off thinking about gigging and being in band. That have you got any advice as to how to get into the gigging or what to do? You kind of said surrounding yourself with like-minded people, but
yeah, I mean, if it was like, I mean, you've kind of already got it. You've got the scene. You've got a big group of folk who are sort of learning to play, getting used to playing music together. But I mean, it's as straightforward as just like booking a venue and putting on your own show. Yeah.
if only you had a really cool venue that you just come to all the time.
Totally.
That'd be cool.
What was you were talking about how you were moving to like the Glasgow scene? You already had like a band and stuff. What was actually the first venue that you played in Glasgow?
I think it was actually, it would have been the Cat House. Me and my sister turned up there to play a show, and the venue was locked. We phoned the promoter, no answer. Another band show up. We stand there for about 3 hours in the rain, and then get on the train home. Actual first gig would have been 13th Note.
What was the best gig you played in Glasgow?
Around sort of starting out. It was a great nightclub called Death Kill 4000.
You just
that we used to go.
totally took Devin's question.
Just around my question.
Devin, why didn't you re-ask it? Re-ask it, go on.
What was your favourite gig you performed and watched, I guess?
Great question.
Yeah, I mean, there was like some really good club shows that we played back then. It was like it used to be the Barfly on Clyde Street. It's a really cool venue, but these were like stage times at like 1 a.m. Wow. So it was a sweat box. It was like high energy, I guess, by that point in the night. But they were fun.
Do you prefer like more intimate venues, or do you prefer like the bigger arena show type things?
It's just different experience, I guess. I mean, there was times with Frightened Rabbit would be on like, do a run of like relatively big venues, and then there's the detachment from the audience slightly, when there's a barrier, and then it would be quite nice to do like, a scaled down show. In fact, we played in Paisley, bungalow bar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was that came at a time when we'd just finished a bigger tour, and then find yourself in a pub in Paisley, like 2 feet away.
Frightened Rabbit quite unique. That not, some bands, when they get bigger, it's primarily just big gigs. So Frightened Rabbit were quite unique in that way, where depending where you were, it was different size venues.
Yeah, I mean, I think my favourite Frightened Rabbit tour was it was like a Highland tour. So like Aviemore, like Stornoway, places like that. But that was that vibe, super intimate, and it was great fun.
Was there ever a gig you went to and you saw them play in a venue and then you just went, wow, I want to play here? Like, I want to do that?
The Barras, like I don't know if you guys have been.
Yeah, I was there last Monday to go see Tail Waves.
Played
See
it.
who?
Tail Waves.
Oh, nice, cool.
So played that one.
Have you indeed?
Just try to get it in. Have it on record. to about 40 people.
Edit that bit out. Yeah.
Still played it.
Add the zeros, 40, 100 people.
No, but I think that venue is quite unique.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember like the first time I went, you kind of always remember that kind of excitement of just being there, especially as a kid, just like freaking out.
Yeah.
So it's quite a rush to play it, you know.
It's an amazing venue.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone that's anyone's played it as well. The list they've got is unbelievable.
Yeah.
A lot of people that have played it.
So I was talking about it, like, what's your favourite gig? What was probably been your least favourite gig? Like, you've had a horrible experience at a gig. Probably.
On the spot.
Just like making me go through really horrible memories.
Sorry.
I'll come back to it.
There's always ups and downs with some gigs, isn't there? Some are not as cool, or maybe.
Yeah.
Just depends on the day sometimes, I guess, even. Catherine, you got something to ask?
Do you still find it difficult to perform with like nerve wise?
I don't find it difficult, but it doesn't necessarily go away entirely. Like, you're always going to feel like it's not comparable to when you're starting out, because those are like, you know, I can't do this, you know, fully the shakes. Especially like we're talking about like sharing songs that you've written. It's crazy nerves, but you get used to it. And we were talking earlier about like the idea of nerves not being such an issue when you're playing to your own crowd. You know, you're playing to people who you know want to see you. So you're actually more full of beans than you would be if you're like an opening act, when you have to win over a crowd, you know.
Is that the kind of vibe at festivals that you have played? You know, they're not maybe necessarily there, you know, just for...
Sometimes, yeah.
So you seem like, if like you play at the Barrowlands, that would be fine, because if you're like headlining that, would you think that would be a lot better than, say, you just start night and you're playing in a pub with a bunch of people that have never heard of you?
Definitely, 100%. It's definitely more nerve-wracking to be walking on in some scabby wee venue to people who don't want to even hear you.
The music's secondary.
As opposed to like,
venues,
yeah,
you know what I mean? They're
going
just
on.
there for a pint.
Yeah, exactly.
You
That's
need
a
one
horrible
of them.
feeling, but it's probably one that everyone will go through if you're going to start playing shows.
Yeah, definitely.
What was the show you had like the worst nerves at?
Weirdly, that was Paisley as well, at the Paisley Abbey. Yeah, it was with RSNO, like the orchestra. So that was like major imposter syndrome, you know, like five of us and then an orchestra of super highly trained musicians, and they're playing like indie rock songs, you know. But I had I was mainly playing piano, which made it worse as well. I got a big, like, I was shaking before we went on. The orchestra doing like an intro, and we were in the wings. I was just like, but Grant, the drummer, just grabbed me, gave me a huge bear hug, and it actually made it a million times better.
Sometimes you just need a hug.
That was it. That's all I needed.
Why was it more difficult for you on keys? Is it just an instrument you're not as...
Yeah, I'm just not as
confident on?
comfortable. Yeah. But the nature of that, we'd stripped back the set, so the orchestra was taking like a lot of the guitar parts of the melodies, so
Aye.
it wouldn't have made sense for us to all be like playing full band.
You know how you said that you played the keyboard? How many instruments do you play?
It's mainly guitar and keys. Like, I learned clarinet to quite a high standard. When I was at school, that was my main instrument, and it's like the least cool instrument you could find. It's less cool than the
I'm
flute.
actually trying to think of something.
You can't.
I can't.
An oboe.
Kazoo.
I used to
A
play.
kazoo is the best instrument.
kazoo's
I'm sorry,
it's
that's
very
the
cool.
best instrument, followed by the harmonica.
Yep.
I will make my agreements and describe how it's the best instrument you can
I'm
ever
with-
play.
I'm with you.
So don't diss the kazoo.
List them.
Do you write mainly on guitar, or is it keys?
It depends what it's for.
Yeah.
Piano can be a lot simpler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Erica, you got a question there?
What's been your favourite gig and like your favourite experience with them, and like what was the best like atmosphere, and like do you prefer it being bigger or like smaller?
I guess,
We've touched on, yeah.
yeah, like probably the Barrowland is like the sort of the biggest rush.
Yeah.
But there's a couple in the States that are kind of like big sort of ones to tick off. It was it's called the Ryman Auditorium now in Nashville. That used to be like the Grand Ole Opry.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was amazing. Just a huge sort of incredible venue. And Red Rocks Amphitheatre.
Do you play at Red Rocks?
Mhm.
Wow, that's some place.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's unreal.
it is.
Not headlining.
No, don't think it matters at that point,
No,
though, does it?
no.
Yeah.
What's been your favourite tour so far?
Tour.
Yeah.
Tour.
Welcome to my tour.
I think the Highland tour I mentioned, that was fun. But almost anything with Frightened Rabbit.
Was there ever a tour that, like, say, like, you were, like, getting nervous or something, but then, like, you had problems getting there, which caused, like, more stress and stuff? Like,
Aye, like a couple of times so Lollapalooza in Chicago is the same weekend as Osheaga in Montreal, so a lot of bands do both. But we'd been booked on to do Friday at Lolla and then Saturday afternoon in Montreal, so it's an all-nighter. And you basically have to do an all-nighter and then fly to Montreal. But we got there, me and the other guitar player were on a separate flight. We got to Montreal, the rest of the guys didn't make it.
Really?
Totally. Their flight was delayed. So it was me and Andy, and we're in like ground transport going to the festival. And the festival are freaking out. They're like, "Can you guys do the show?" And I was just like, "No, we can't."
Oh, did that not happen then? That one?
No, Scott did a sort of impromptu acoustic thing,
Okay.
as a sort of, but yeah, we had to cancel our show.
Shame.
Yeah.
Like, see, apart from going on tour with the Frightened Rabbit, what else was like your favourite going with someone, like, sort of not playing but just with them?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do, like, obviously I've done like a lot of guitar teching for bands and tour managing. That can be fun as well. Like, it's a different experience, but it's still really enjoyable, especially guitar teching. It feels like, you know, you're still like heavily involved in the show. You get a real kick out of it. So yeah, I mean, I've worked a lot with Twilight Sad, and they're good friends, so that's always a lot of fun. Various other bands, but yeah, Bobo Johnson is good.
see, like, if there ever been like a gig that you've been to, or like just in general, and you've met someone that's really high up in the music business? So have you met a bunch of people like that or not?
Man, I met Robert Smith a couple of weeks ago from The Cure. Yeah, the singer from The Cure. Yeah. I met Johnny Marr as well.
Oh, have you met Johnny?
Yeah.
Was that a bit of a starstruck moment for you?
A wee bit, yeah. I mean, I kept it together, but then and it was great because we had an actual conversation without me fanboying him. You know, it was cool. But then when he left the room, I was like,
Oh. What was this? How did you meet Johnny Marr?
he was in town with Modest Mouse.
Okay.
Because he played guitar for them for maybe one album, two albums. Yeah.
Do you get like homesick when you're away on tour?
I do, yeah. There was one. There was one in particular. It was like a tour that was too long. It got booked initially, like as a headline tour, and then they added like 3 weeks supporting a band called The National at the beginning. So it becomes 9 weeks, and then at the end of it, we get like a TV thing added on Letterman. So it was a kind of thing you had to do it. But by that point, everyone was just desperate to get home.
Mm.
It was a shame. It was a tour that became like not fun. But yeah, I mean, it was fun for the first half of it, and that kind of applies to like the crew as well. Like the crew, exhausted and ready to call it.
Yep.
So you've got to kind of be careful with, I guess, biting off more than you can chew.
Definitely.
Like, see how you said you're like flying over like people. Did you ever think that people would be doing that like to you when you're younger? Did you ever think like if you got famous, did you ever like imagine that people would do that with you and be like amazed to meet you.
I
And be
know.
like,
Has it happened in public? Have you had people come up to you?
Yeah, there'll be like Frightened Rabbit fans, but I think we're quite lucky in that, like, Frightened Rabbit fans are all, you know, across the board, they're really nice people.
It's not always the case.
Yeah, totally. I think there's obviously like real fanatics, but they're always at the same time really respectful, and it was something I really enjoyed about, you know, really enjoy meeting people after shows and stuff like that, and it was never a chore, you know. I think other bands have might have a fan base that would be more extreme, but Frightened Rabbit fans just want to have a pint with the band and hang out, which is totally fine.
What you want, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're saying that Fighting Rabbit doesn't like have them over obsessive fans that would make like fan pages around? You know?
It's definitely fan page.
No, yeah, totally, but they're
not
all
like the like wow,
Like
go like off the wall when they meet you and they're like screaming in your face and all that. Like
Not like John Lennon's biggest fan or anything. See how that turned out.
not very well.
No, I think that it was like, yeah, I think they're great. I think there's not, I think there's just that vibe. You know, if you like that sort of music or that sort of band, you're probably going to be quite, like, grounded.
Yeah.
I guess, or
Which is a good answer, considering a lot of them are probably going to be listening.
maybe.
Anyway, not throwing them any under the bus. Any other questions, folks, before I put Si in the spot with something?
So, like, see if like you're playing in a gig, was there ever like an embarrassing moment or something like in a gig that you've played and the band just got humiliated?
just like I think he was like messed up or like got a song wrong or something
Good that
like
you're
that.
subtle with the questioning.
Yeah, like I think he means
You ever done a
messed
gig where
up.
you've just got absolutely wrecked by the fans?
I think he means
You know,
like
it does
messed up
happen.
with your music or like got
Aye,
like that
I've,
was gone
aye.
wrong or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
I've started a song with the capo on the wrong fret.
It happens to everyone.
Yeah.
It's all about the recovery, isn't it?
It's just whether or not anyone notices,
Yeah.
and it can feel bad if no one notices.
I think most of the time, you know, people mess up if you're in a band. Obviously not done gigs at the same sort of scale, but the only people that usually tend to know if you've messed up is yourself.
Aye, exactly.
You know, unless you let people know.
Hmm.
See, a lot of performers that I know, that if they mess up, they make the audience, they let everyone know.
Yeah,
Like, no one noticed that unless
it's quite
you...
a good skill
Mhm.
to be able to make a mistake and just it doesn't show at all.
Yeah.
You fluff a note, you just
Pretend you meant it.
poker face. Yeah,
Yeah. So not really on the spot. I probably worried you as soon as I said that.
wee bit.
But it's kind of talking about music in general. Have you got any like top albums or albums that have always been quite dear from when you were younger to when you're older, or artists that you've kind of kept with you from when you were a wee guy?
Well, we're talking earlier about the Smiths and
Yep.
how like how important a band that was to me, especially Johnny Marr, and just how angry I am now that I can't listen to them because of Morrissey's ridiculous stance on certain things.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, probably the Smiths. Yeah, the Cure are a big one as well.
What about you guys? What kind of bands you think hold quite dear, made you want to kind of play music and stuff?
So mine's were a lot all over the place because when I was younger I was brought up with like happy hardcore, which we were discussing how most of you just don't like, so heartbroken about that. But then the emo phase happened. 4th year, still trying to get out of it, but I started listening to bands like 3 Days Grace and Evanescence and all that, and then I got into Nirvana, and then that was just a band that I listened to for ages, but I'm trying to explore different genres right now, so I'm listening to like Robert Johnson, it's going back to Les Paul and Mary Ford and that.
Les
Nice.
Paul, some player, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert
Unbelievable.
Johnson sold his soul.
To the devil to play rock and roll. So the story goes. Indeed. What about you two?
I've kind of been mixed with loads of music because my mum and dad kind of always listen. Like my dad listens to like Stone Roses, but then my mum listens to like pop music, and then my brother listens to like the music I listen to. And my sister listens
Quite an
to,
eclectic mix you've grew up with in
yeah,
your family.
and then my sister just listens to not gonna say it's bad, but rave music. Just,
I love
the-
dance music.
Just
man, if
not
that's
not
what you
even
mean.
like dance music, just like the mix ones that are like
Oh, like DJ Bad Boy, DJ Sammy in the mix, all that
yeah,
kind of
that,
SoundCloud rappers and DJs.
yeah.
I
Yes. What
think
about
it's
yourself?
important to just let your tastes change as you go. It's
Aye.
not even about as you get older. I mean, it's not even like a growing up and changing your sort of tastes. Because I'm still like, you know, it'll change from month to month what I listen to. You know, I think it's good just not to be like set on
A
one genre
genre.
and just
Yeah.
feel like that's
Absolutely.
I've always been told to have an open mind and stuff, so I'm trying to. But there's just one genre that I will not have an open mind to, and I'm
Jazz.
gonna stick by. No, not jazz. K-pop.
Oh.
K-pop. It's just something that I look and is like, what is the point of that? But then, like people get into it, and I just wonder why, because you probably don't understand. So I just look at it at a different point of view.
it's just not for you.
It's
It's just
for me.
not for you. Not your cup of tea.
No,
Lewis,
it's
what about yourself, music wise?
I'm just trying to get into like newer bands. I've been listening to a lot of like Idols and Fontaines DC and that. Squid,
Cool.
yeah.
Andrew, what about yourself?
I've been listening to like the playlist that Spotify make you because one, it makes it so as if you have like Spotify Premium, so you can skip all the songs and stuff. That's the main reason. But you hear a lot of songs that you wouldn't have heard of otherwise.
I think it's amazing the weekly playlist that they put together for you.
I can
Yeah.
yeah. for you for like stuff.
It's so
Stuff you
good.
might never have heard.
I was thinking about how it's like, because like before Spotify, like the equivalent of that would have been like the guy in the record shop that you buy vinyl from,
Aye.
and then they would get to know your tastes. Because like I go to Monorail quite a lot to buy records, and I can ask them for a recommendation. And it was like, I think you'd be into this album, it just came out, so then you just buy it based on their.
The amount of times I've
trust
been in a
opinion.
record shop and asked, what's playing,
Mhm.
actually currently playing, and then bought whatever that is.
Yeah, but they're getting they're now replaced by the algorithm.
Yeah.
You know, the Spotify algorithm, who can probably give you just as good suggestions. You know?
No.
It's a shame, but there's a
We
place
are
for
trying
both.
to get the love for physical media and back as well, and stay off Spotify a bit. But I think, judging by the kind of commotion, the activity behind me, unless anyone has any final questions, I think
I want to
we
go
will-
back to my question that you kind of avoided.
Well, it might have been avoided for a reason, Devon, but you can certainly ask
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've got an answer for you yet.
it. Yeah,
Maybe next time.
maybe next time. On that note,
Definitely
then,
remember that.
thank you very much, Simon.
Thanks for having me.
For being here.
pleasure.
Thanks, guys, for asking your questions, and thank you for listening to our second podcast at the pool table. See you later.